loss could have happened around that time. And after all, Mary herself mentions that they separated 100 years ago.
What?
We broke up decades ago. Long before you were born.
However, there's reason to believe that this actually happened in 1931. First of all, if you look closely at the ticket, you'll see the name of the theater, Biograph Theater, which showed the 1931 version of the film. The 1910 version, on the other hand, was distributed by Edison Studios Theaters. There's also another detail. In the 1931 film, the role of Frankenstein was played by Boris Karloff, and Hancock himself mentions this directly.
Boris Karloff.
So it turns out that Hancock's memory loss most likely happened in 1931. The second important piece of information
People of Walton, this is your mayor, John Ward. Now, I want to take a moment to thank y'all for your patience, resolve in these most challenging times. It's that Southern spirit, it's that Texas grit that gives me full confidence that we'll not only get through this crisis, but come out stronger on the other side. I only wish I could be here to see it, huh? However, folks, I regret to announce that today I'll be moving my office to a secure spot outside the city limits. Now, no need to go assuming the worst. All right. This move is strictly to facilitate better coordination with our boys in uniform, who are at this very moment putting together a surefire plan to retake our city and eradicate the... Huh? Let's get wait. Where? Just give me... So just, hold tight, secure your homes, and I assure you...
Hello?
The tide will turn. God bless you. God bless you.
I'm not sure if anyone out there is still listening to this trash. But if you are, know this. Nobody is coming to help you. There's no plan. Look. What they did, it's wrong. It's all wrong. We are trapped. And staying here isn't an option. You have to get out. Escape the city any way you can. Get out now.
comes from Mary during their conversations both in the trailer and later at her house. She explains that in the past, she and Hancock were a married couple, and their relationship lasted for around 3,000 years. In different eras, they had different names and were called by different terms. How many of these gods once existed, we don't know, but according to Mary, she and Hancock are the only ones who survived to modern times. She says they were created in pairs, so no matter where they were, a chain of events would always lead them back to each other. However, during the conversation, it's clear that Mary isn't telling the whole truth. At first, she calls Hancock her brother. Later, she refers to them as opposites. And at one point, she even claims that she's much stronger than him, which is clearly a lie.
I'm stronger.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
During their argument, even more details about their abilities are revealed. Mary has the power to control the weather. She can summon snowstorms and tornadoes. Hancock, on the other hand, can release lightning. Interestingly, the first hints of these powers appear during their very first meeting. In the house, the temperature suddenly rises, making Ray think someone turned the heating back on.
Look at that, huh? Huh? Is the heat on?
When Hancock and Mary come into close contact, the temperature rises so much that popcorn literally starts popping in the house. Another important detail is Hancock's unexplained connection to eagles. This symbol appears everywhere around him. The eagle is pictured on his beanie, on his pendant, in his drawings that show up more than once, and even as part of his superhero suit. By the end of the film, an actual eagle is seen sitting next to Hancock, almost like a sign, or a guardian. All of these small details have become the basis for a popular theory that in the past Hancock was none other than Zeus himself, the king of the ancient Greek gods, and Mary was his wife, Hera. It actually makes sense. Like Hancock, Zeus controls lightning, and his eternal companion, his sacred bird, was the eagle. This connection is also supported by Hancock's drawings, where lightning and eagles appear repeatedly. In other words, in his past, the eagle was his constant companion, and lightning was an inseparable part of his powers. If you look carefully at one of the drawings, you can even spot Hancock standing at the entrance of an arch. Most likely, it's Hadrian's Arch in Athens. Sometimes it's referred to as the gateway to the Olympian. As for the goddess Hera, she had power over weather and nature. Some legends even say she could summon storms and control the elements, which is exactly what we see Mary doing in the film. She was also known as the goddess of fate, though Mary herself claims she doesn't believe in fate.
I've lived for a very long time, Ray. And the one thing I learned, fate doesn't decide everything.
There's something else worth noticing. Mary constantly wears rings, hoop earrings, bracelets, and a pendant. In mythology, Hera, the goddess of marriage and family, was historically associated with rings as symbols of union and loyalty. This adds to the idea that in the past they really were ancient Greek gods. But that's just a small part of their shared story, the period when they were a married couple. Mary admits that their marriage wasn't a happy one. She kept leaving Hancock, but no matter where she went, he always found her. They kept drawing each other back, like two halves of the same whole. Hoping to break this endless cycle, Mary chose to leave him when he lost his memory, believing it was the only way to avoid yet another accidental reunion. However, there's one more strange detail: Hancock's drawings. This is likely a post-traumatic reaction. People suffering from amnesia often try to visualize fragments of their past to recover lost memories. But Hancock doesn't draw Mary. Instead, he keeps drawing himself and a child holding his hand. You can spot these drawings on napkins or even scratched onto the walls of his prison cell. In some of his sketches, an eye appears. Most likely, it's the all-seeing eye, a symbol often linked to divine observation or the eye of God. Much more rarely, we see the image of a horse. It shows up both on the walls of his cell and in Hancock's home. And in some drawings, he depicts himself surrounded by a halo or radiating lines of light. Since Mary mentions not only Greece but also Persia, it's possible that at some point in another part of the world, Hancock might have been associated with the god Mithra. This god was often depicted surrounded by light or rays shining from his body. The horse also held sacred meaning in Mithric myths. In his cult, the horse often accompanied the god as a symbol of strength and sacrifice. But perhaps the most interesting detail we see on the walls of Hancock's prison cell is the drawing of a pyramid. This clearly points to the fact that during another period of his long